good champion boxing in sports. And boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. So much going on in the boxing world right now. Guys retiring, guys winning, guys losing, guys having rematches, guys not being able to get fights, and some guys losing and complaining and just not holding themselves accountable. But there was recently a top 50, a pound per pound list created by the World Boxing Network, and they're in affiliation with Ring Magazine. And I was just kind of going over it, and I was surprised to see how they ranked and stacked the top 50 nominees or the top 50 boxers. So I'm going to kind of take my time and go through this. It's going to be a pretty quick video so you guys can see the way we see it as fans doesn't always equate to how these so-called boxing pundits, boxing experts, these so-called organizations see it. Now, not sure on the criteria they used to determine who's the number one, who's the 50th ranked boxer on this list. But at least I'm glad to see, and I think you guys will all agree that at least we're glad to see Canelo Alvarez as number one. It is what it is. He's the pound per pound best. No, it is not Floyd Mayweather. He's retired. So for those of you who are saying Floyd Mayweather is still the pound per pound greatest boxer, he's not. He's retired. He's no longer active. He doesn't deserve a mention in this list. Okay, maybe he's the top pound per pound exhibitionist in regards to boxing. Then he'd be the number one on the list. So let's just take our time and just kind of cruise through this. You'll see number one, Canelo Alvarez. Unless you've been sleeping underneath a rock, you have no idea about it. Canelo and what he's accomplished. Doesn't matter if you feel he's cherry-picked his opponents. Doesn't matter. He's fought champions. And if the champion just happened to be one of the weaker champions in the division, or they had non-champions tougher than the champions that Canelo fought, it's not his fault. He fought a champion. He deserves the credit. Okay? And he lost to Triple G twice, but we're not talking about that, are we? So let's look at the second and third. Usyk and Earl Spence. I'm a little shocked to see Usyk as the number two. I understand what he did as a cruiserweight and becoming the undisputed, acquiring the undisputed distinction as cruiserweight. I understand what Spence did at number three, unifying. But if we're going to start looking at undisputed distinction, that's at a weight that he fought at, and he came up and he beat AJ. That's a pretty big deal. But what about Josh Taylor? Okay. What about Tyson Fury? Now, I'm not talking about becoming the undisputed, but if we're going to rank and stack people based on what they've accomplished who are currently fighting, I don't see how Tyson Fury can't be the number two, but I understand how they probably came up with Usyk. I just don't agree with that. Earl Spence is number three. I mean, some would argue that he shouldn't be the number three based on his inactivity, although it's not his fault. You know, his inactivity and the fact that he hasn't really had the huge fights he needs at welterweight, in my opinion. I still think when it comes to Earl Spence is a monster. Earl Spence is extremely talented. But until he mixes it up, and this is just my opinion, with Thurman and Crawford, Earl Spence can't really call himself the top dog at welterweight. Just because he has 3 belts, that to me doesn't hold that much weight. Keith Thurman fought Porter, he fought Garcia. Then he disappeared. That hurt him. But he defeated both of those guys. Crawford fought Porter. Spence fought Porter and Garcia. And yes, he fought Ugas. But the other names that these other guys need to mix it up. You know, for Crawford, he needs to fight Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, and Earl Spence. Thurman needs to fight Spence and Crawford. and maybe even Yugas. But so what I'm saying is all of these top guys at welterweight, they all need to mix it up and just see who rises above all, and then we can determine who a real top dog is. But there are going to be a lot of opinions on this. I think without them fighting, I think Terence Crawford should be at the number 3 over Earl Spence, because he did unify 140, didn't he? So, I mean, if we're going to take all of those accolades into consideration, I think we should be looking at for Terence Crawford if that's what they did for Usyk. But Earl Spence, not saying they're way off with this, but I just think Terence Crawford should be there before Spence. Now they got Tyson Fury at number 4. I guess, we're like pulling straws here, So we all know what Tyson Fury has done. There's nothing else this man could really win as far as titles as a heavyweight. He's won everything from the domestic level, on a continental level, as far as the main sanctioning bodies. Like, he's even won different type of awards for just his being involved in the community. So Tyson Fury, he's in the top 5. That's good, but I could definitely see him probably more like in that number 2 spot. Then maybe Usyk at the 3 and Spence at the 4. Well, let's just keep on moving through this. Neo Inu, he did a lot, man, when he won that Muhammad Ali trophy in the Super 6. You gotta give him credit for that as a bantamweight. But I'm not sure if he belongs above Terence Crawford. Roman Gonzalez, yeah, he's an amazing fighter. It's just to watch him in that ring, he does everything right. He has power, he has IQ, he has speed, he has stamina. He's like the worst nightmare for somebody. Unless you have the kind of power like this guy did, and when he was able to clip him, hold on a second. It was not him. But unless you have the kind of power like the guy he fought from Japan who clipped him, you're going to lose. Okay, Terence Crawford, don't know why they have him so low. We all know Terence Crawford, man, is a bad boy. But he got to mix it up with Thurman, and then he has to get in there with Spence. And I'm telling you right now, he and Spence are not going to fight. They're not going to fight, so you guys can get over that. Keith Thurman's going to wiggle his way into a fight with either Crawford, or he's going to wiggle himself into a fight with Spence before Crawford and Spence fight. I know what I'm talking about, people. Just watch. I'm telling you, Keith Thurman is going to wiggle his way into a fight because Crawford hasn't fought in a while. So for him to come back, he's going to have to fight somebody. And as far as a lead up to the Spence fight, Keith Thurman's the optimal choice. Vasily Lomachenko, you got him at number 8. Nonito Donaire at number 9. I understand what Lomachenko, and he's extremely talented, but I mean, Cambosis, man, if we're looking at who's winning belts and who's doing what, you got to look at Cambosis. He's undefeated. Lomachenko's lost some fights, but I get it. He's extremely talented, one of the best boxers I've ever seen. But I just not sure how they come up with these rankings, but this is how they have it. Donaire, this guy here is he got more lives than a damn cat, doesn't he? That left hook saves him every time. Juan Estrada, then they got Cambosis, okay? I don't disagree with Cambosis not being in the top 10, but if you're going to put Lomachenko above him, and you're looking at just kind of what Cambosis has done, he only had one big fight, but still, if you're talking about belts, he probably deserves to be above Lomachenko, but if we're just looking at talent, Lomachenko deserves to be above him. Triple G, number 12, huge foul. He shouldn't be on here, in my opinion. Drop him down around number 30. Tank definitely needs to be ranked a little bit. It definitely needs to be ranked above Triple G, in my opinion. Tank's a bad boy, but he's going to lose to Rolly Romero. I'm sure somebody's going to have something to say about that, but that's what I feel. I feel that all the signs are there for Tank to lose that fight to Rolly, and everything after that is going to be downhill for him. Number 14, Kazuto Aoka, Jack Catterall, number 15. Then you got Charlo at number 16, Jamel. If he beats Castano, I can't see why he won't be up in the top 5. Another undisputed distinction, it just barely escaped him because he had a tough fight. Then Teofimo, he had his one loss. I think it's not what Cambosis did to win that fight. It's more what Teofimo did not do, which was fight smart, and that's why he lost. So I think it's fair that he's still up there in the top 20. Josh Taylor, Huge founder, in my opinion. He should be up there in that top 10. Oscar Valdez, we'll see what's up when he and Shakir Stevenson get in there. Arnold Beterbiev, Leo Santa Cruz, Kozi Tanaka, Shakir Stevenson. You know, he got a little bit more work to do, but I would rank him above Oscar Valdez. Here it is, Rungo's side. This is the guy that fought Chocolito, and they got him ranked down, you know, ranked lower than him, but I guess it is what it is. But I think that's fair. Jose Ramirez, Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is losing his luster, isn't he? And to be honest with you, Deontay Wilder should be ranked above Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua's lost twice, and Deontay Wilder has lost, you know, twice too. He's lost to Tyson Fury, but just the way he performed, I think Deontay Wilder definitely deserves to be ranked above Anthony Joshua, no matter where they fall in this list. Jamal Charlo, bad boy, but he's going to go down as a great middleweight, and he's going to be known for the fights that weren't made. That's the direction he's going, because his brother is getting busy as a super welterweight. He's fighting everyone, all the top dogs, having great fights. Jamal's fighting nobodies. I'm not saying these guys aren't good fighters. I'm saying they don't have the names. And he's in a position where he can call some shots. He needs to start calling the right shots and fighting big names. He needs to start off with, what's his name, man? Andre, fight Caleb Plant, fight Benavidez. But, you know, if he can't get it done at 160, he needs to bubble up to 168 and try to figure out a big name, but who'll actually get in the ring with him. Stephen Fulton Jr., he's on his way. He's a great fighter. Emmanuel Navarrete, Dimitri Bivol, we'll see just how great he is when he gets in there with Canelo. I think Canelo may have bitten off more than he can chew, but Canelo has proven that probably not in your best interest to bet against him. Regis Prograis, he just doesn't get the love I think he deserves. I think he's one of the more underrated boxers. Speed, power, chin. He has everything that you look for as a boxer. He's a super lightweight. He probably needs to bubble himself on up to welterweight, trying to get busy, because that 140-pound weight division, man, I think is killing him, because he's just not getting the big fights. Fought Josh Taylor, lost in a close fight, but I think it's time for him to go ahead and bubble up, because it's almost like a wasted talent, man. He's just not active enough. Andy Ruiz, not much to say about him. I think he is sleeping in those silk pajamas like Marvelous Marvin Hagler said, and he just doesn't want to commit himself to what it takes to get to the point where he reached, which is being a unified heavyweight champion. I think the best days of Andy Ruiz are behind him, so let's just skip on past him. Bonhang Mene Yotin, I don't know who that is. We all know who Keith Thurman is, number 35. I think that's more than fair. I'd be okay with Keith Thurman being at the bottom of the list, not because of his talent, just because of his inactivity, man. He would have probably been in the top 5 if he would remain active, but he's become inactive. You know, got hurt by Josecito, lost to Pacquiao, and Keith Thurman and he beat Barrios, but he didn't knock him out. So Keith Thurman, I think, is a good gatekeeper now. Still one of the big names at welterweight, but I don't think he's much of a threat to Spence or Crawford. He still packs the big punch. He still has his legs, but he has an extremely weak midsection. Getting into with Spencer Crawford, I think, would be a suicide mission for Thurman right now in his career. Keith Thurman, before he got married, I picked Keith Thurman to beat both of them. That's just how amazing of a boxer puncher he was. Demetrius Andre, one of the saddest stories in boxing. All that talent, fought in the Olympics, fought for his country, and the man they're just like stalling him out, refuse to give him the right opportunities. It's just sad to see what's happening to him. Probably one of the more talented boxers today. He just can't he just won't get in the ring with him, and he has a damn belt. So it's horrible. David Benavidez, the only real threat to Canelo Alvarez, in my opinion. John Casimiro, Gilberto Ramirez, this guy here, watch out for him, man. He's a talented boxer. Maurice Briedis, Akhmadaliev, Jerwan Ancajas, Jaime Munguia. I just think it's a matter of time for Jaime Munguia gets knocked out. But he's not an easy fight for anyone. Munguia got a strong chin, an extremely high work rate, and he can crack. And he's gotten extremely better underneath Eric Morales. So Jaime Munguia is definitely a force to be reckoned with. He needs a big fight. So maybe he and Andre can get it on. Super flyweight, Jesse Rodriguez, Mark Maxayo, Hirota Kayoguchi, Brian Castano. Yeah, at least he's in the top 50 because before he fought Charlo, not many people knew who he was unless you're just truly a diehard boxing fan. But now everybody knows who he is because of his performance. Joe Smith Jr., Vincent Astrolabio, and Jose Cepeda. So those are the top 50. I'm sure people are going to have an issue with this list. I know I do, man. But when you just look at who they have here, the number one, I think we would all agree on that. But just the 2, 3, 4, 5, it's the top 10, Crawford, these guys. And then Juan Estrada. I'm not sure how they come up with this top 10, but they got some of the right names in here, just I think they have them in the wrong place. So anyway, that being said, man, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. You guys keep safe. Shout out to all the veterans, and I'm in the bricks.